when we have earthquakes.
Right.
You have your liquefaction zones, and water's really everywhere. It's probably even in the driest molecules of dirt,
Yeah,
but it just has to be reactivated.
that's so true.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and then another question. With the maps, if you could just speak on the recent waterway projects and Indigenous people's take on it.
The waterway project?
Yeah, just some contemporary projects where they're trying to revitalize certain areas where it was
Mhm.
once dry. It's something.
You know, I know they have a project going on right now in the San Fernando Valley, and they're doing just that. They're trying to revive it, you know, with
Mhm.
the native plants and native flora there. And
Mhm.
you know, they had even called on me to consult because they're doing some gates and these different partitions along this particular trail, and they wanted, you know, they want my input for the designs on the gates and everything. And they eventually want to do the whole watershed of the LA, follow it all the way down to the Los Angeles basin. And I don't know, I think one of the things that concerned me about the whole project is, you know, it's beautiful what they're doing and what they're attempting to do, and I told them it's so important to educate the general public about this and about the land and everything. But I told them one of the things, you know, to not forget is to be inclusive.
Right.
With just, you know, it's not an it's not a Native American thing.
Mhm.
I told them anybody who lives here should be involved with that project, and they were talking about doing a blessing, and I told them, but I go, it's an opportunity to educate the public
Yeah.
about the land and about these watersheds and about the water and what we're dealing with. And because once you educate them, then it becomes their responsibility to take care of it too.
Right.
Because there's only so much of us around.
Right.
You know, we know it's our obligation, it's our cultural obligation, our spiritual obligation and responsibility to do this, but we're not the only ones who live here.
Right.
So it's everybody's responsibility, and I told them that, you know, these type of projects are important for that reason, to make the public aware of their responsibility and obligation too.
Yeah, and part of that responsibility is what I would like to see in a
Mhm.
lot of these type of mapping and these waterway projects, is to really identify where all the water is right now and the health of the water.
Yeah.
Like in Los Angeles, at every place,
Mhm.
because of fracking, because of toxic activities that result in toxins. You know, when you're doing mining, the hard resource mining, and a lot of the minerals that you mine, like copper and lead and all these things, when you go through that extraction process, a lot of them have your iron sulfide, so you get that sulfuric acid, you know.
Right.
And over the years, this has been ongoing for many, many, many years. But I think it's a responsibility. That should be number one, is because all these other projects, it's just like we're measuring the health of the water and we're trying to enhance. It's like a facade.
Mhm.
Superficial kind of gestural attention to the water,
Mhm.
when the real questions are, where is the water? What is the quality of water? Where is it going? And what does that mean? I mean, can we use the water? If there's water, why are we not using the water for the people?
Right. Yeah. Makes sense.
Because I know, I don't know all the details about it, but I know that they wanted to give some of the land back to the Fernandino, you know, which are the people from San Fernando Valley associated with the San Fernando Mission.
Okay.
And the land, you know, they were doing work on the land and trying to test it, but the ground has been so contaminated that they're even doubting if it's, you know, if they can use it because of the contamination.
Wow.
So that's a whole nother issue too, is the ground contamination, especially in the Los Angeles basin.
Yeah, I think maybe you're referring to the Santa Susana site, where NASA has used that site.
Mhm.
And think about your building, it's aerospace and rockets and, you know, the Department of Defense kind of usage of the land and the water, and when you're
Mhm.
building these things, you're using water, but what's the byproduct of this fabrication of these different types of things, and the kind of pollutants that go back into the water.
Right.
Or even at the farm lab
Mhm.
in downtown, the cornfield. That's a really good example of the consciousness of water and attempting to clean up. When Lauren Bond back, what year was that? It's been like about 10 years when she went in there where the cornfields is off of Alameda. That's right next to the Zanja Madre where the Metro Rail is.
Okay.
And the LA River's right adjacent to that.
The LA State Historic Park.
Yeah, it's now the
Oh, I
Los
see.
Angeles State Historic Park. And
Okay.
she went in there and as part of her, she's an environmental artist, and she went in and she replaced all that dirt. She cleaned up all the toxins. 1875 is when the railroad was there. They called it the cornfield because when the trains would come by, if they were moving like corn,
Mhm.
you know, the corn would kind of fall off the trains and these corn stalks. So that's why they call it the cornfield.
Okay. Okay.
But over time, it's become very highly industrialized area. See all this mechanical uncleanliness going on there?
Mhm.
And all those toxins, all those poisons have been in that dirt for many, for generations. So she went in there, she had the resources to do it, the money to do it, and they cleaned out all the dirt. They replaced that dirt with clean dirt, and then they planted 26 acres of like Hopi corn. They got Hopi corn seeds from the Hopi people.
Mhm.
They hand planted that, and it was a big maze of corn. And she's actually building like a water wheel, and she's been in her artwork at the Metabolic Studios and at the Anabolic Monument. A lot of Lauren's work is trying to find ways to clean the water, you know, to filter the water so it's usable. Water has been very much a focus, so that's an example of somebody who worked with the Indigenous communities, with our community,
Right.
in attempting to address these very difficult issues.
Right.
That's an example of collaboration.
Yeah.
You know, how we, you know, because that's a question people always have. They can hear about Indigenous people talking about water all the time, but it's still very abstract until you can come
Right.
up with some solutions and some ideas of how to do this, you know.
Yeah.
Capturing the water. You know,
Yeah.
there's really simple ways locally that we can act to take care of the water.
Yeah. Makes sense. Just a follow up, how can people give back? Because right now there's overuse of water. With people just not understanding, or maybe not, they're just ignorant, or they're just not concerned about it. But it's just with too much water is being used right now here in Los Angeles. So how could people help stop the overuse of the water? Just, I don't know.
Back to this, it's like we're thinking, just stop using the damn
Right.
water.
Yeah. I guess being conscious of it, you know, and I don't know. I know for us, we just have a different consciousness, and
Mhm.
I guess it depends on how you look at these, you know, these things.
Right.
Because when you stop looking at them as resources and, you know, an extension of just who you are, what makes you up, then it takes on a different perception that you have of that, you know.
Yeah.
If it's just something that, you know, to waste and just take, you're just gonna, you know, use it. I tell people, you know, try going without water for a week and see what happens, and see how grateful you'll be.
Right.
You know,
That's
even a
good
few
point.
days.
Yeah.
You know, but I mean, one of the realistic ways, you know, realistically achieve that you can get, you know, the majority of the population to start doing that is to start, you know, growing more native plants and,
Mhm.
you know, get rid of lawns. I
Mhm.
mean, that's something that everybody can do.
Right.
Get rid of your, you know, your water-consuming plants in your land and public landscape. Get rid of all that and start putting in natives and, you know, educating yourself about the natives and, you know, the medicine plants and the food plants and what you can utilize, you know, for your sustenance,
Right.
just like our ancestors have. that's a start.
Yeah.
Trying to get somebody to view the water in the way that we view it, we don't know if that's gonna happen.
Right.
That goes along with our culture and the way we see that. But that's getting people to change from all these water consuming plants that they have.
Yeah. Makes sense.
What's interesting is, as a child, we did not drink water like people drink water today, because we're
Mhm.
on the Richard Simmons, or I don't know, the whatever the trend is in health,
Mhm.
and this whole notion of being dehydrated. And when you think of our ancestors, did they drink, like 8, however,
Oh,
whatever, I don't
right.
know what the standard
Yeah.
is,
8
but.
glasses a day or something like that.
When the
Yeah.
runners ran, I mean, when they were delivering messages, they had a pouch of chia. You
Mhm.
put pebbles in your mouth to quench your thirst.
Mhm.
When my father went hunting, he always was scolding us about not drinking so much water. When he went hunting and he took my brothers, were not. He says, "Don't drink a lot of water because you're going to crave it more. You don't
Right.
need that much water to be out here."
Yeah.
So did they really consume as much water that we think, you go to the gyms, and I go for a walk and I see people like continually drinking water to be hydrated, and I
Mhm.
question that.
Mhm.
I question it. I don't drink
Yeah.
that much water. I drink water, but I don't drink as much water as everybody else, and I'd probably be criticized by health specialists.
Mhm.
I question, I challenge